Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the InsideLowell Daily Pulse, the Friday, June 20th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you here from the WellPoint Studios on the podcast that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. And if it is Friday, then we've got a little bit of a weekend review, but we got a lot of new things to review as well. And we will peel back another layer of that complicated onion known as Batch. One of our guest hosts today, Mike Bacigalupo, to the left of your screen, Hans Stutz to the right, 2/3 of the Power Hour crew. And, you know, they say 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
What do you call it? Diminished power hour?
The reduced power hour. When you guys go on without Ace, it just feels like it's missing. It's like it's kind of like green energy. You're not maximizing your energy potential.
Yeah.
So we need the full power hour back. So Asa, you got to come back. Or we're going to put this embarrassing poll up asking folks whether they want you back more or Jack Mitchell. And if you lose that poll, you're toast in our book, Asa.
The viewers from Ukraine are really upset about it.
Oh, yeah.
Poland. We were big in Poland for a while there.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I feel like there was somebody who caught on to the Power Hour talking about Ukraine and started watching it.
Might have been from our love of pierogies at the folk festival.
Maybe. Could have been that as well.
Playing against pierogies.
So good morning, guys. Good to have you here.
Good morning.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it is. By the way, I said June 20th, which we know as the first official day of summer. I asked what time, and Batch actually told me that. And then you gave me another interesting little tidbit. Share with our audience, if you would. You nature lover, you.
Well, it's 10:44, right? So that's the beginning at night tonight.
PM, 10:44
That's the
PM.
beginning of summer.
Okay.
And then the solstice is usually the 20th or the 21st. Depends on the year. So today, this is the longest day of the year. It started at 5:00, I think it was like 5:05, but like where I live, by the time the sun clears the horizon, it's like 5:20, 5:30.
So this is the longest day of the year. We only go backwards from here, right?
Yep.
But you have an annual tradition.
Yeah, I get up
on this day.
I see the sunrise and I see the sunset.
Do you wake up or do you just stay up after a night of being out?
So last night I woke up. Today I woke up. So I woke up at like 4:45, and then I went out fishing. So I saw it from the lake, and then I'll see the sunset tonight.
So you saw the sunrise on the longest day of the year from the lake.
Yeah, and then I'll see it. I do it every year. And
I love it.
Except that last year it rained at the end of the day. So
For everyone else, they have to choose one or the other.
Huh?
Most people have to choose one or the other, right? They're either going to see the sunrise or the sunset.
Batch gets to do them both.
Why couldn't you do both?
You listen, between this and then you going out and, having owls land on your arm, I'm like nature-loving Batch.
Oh, yeah, I love the nature.
Where was this side of you
Caught a solid fish.
all these years?
It's always been. So when I was like 20, well, I started fishing when I was like probably in my early 20s. From a kid I know he's like, hey, you want to go fishing? I'm like,
all right, that's still
kind of get into that. And then
a more centrist conservative activity, fishing, right? You're hunting technically. And then I think we moved when I was married, or before I was married, we moved to the lake, and so I was fishing and all the nature stuff from there. And we used to go hiking when I was a kid too. My mother used to take us hiking, but she would never read the trail maps right, so we'd get lost. It's like a 2-hour hike. She was doing it on purpose back.
Yeah, well, she didn't do it enough.
You kept finding your way back home, unfortunately.
The funny thing, she took us up Iron Mountain one time in the middle of a thunderstorm. Like that was just a bad idea. But no, I always liked the nature,
I'm impressed. I'm
ice fishing,
bird loving,
bird nerding.
Now I find out you have a fascination with sunrises and sunsets over a lake.
Listen, every year, and then all the stuff, and I go see the comets when they're around, all that crap.
No wonder you and Michaela get along.
Batch is a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Did you mention
really
the photography? His pictures are fantastic.
Yeah, he's actually got photographs. Have you posted it yet on your social media?
Just one for the
the sunrise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you get to see it, Batch. Batch and Jen Myers, Lowell's 2 best photographers.
Yeah, well, my sidekick's a little more interesting.
It could be another poll question for Inside Lowell. Well, I thank the 2 of you for joining us today. We're going to get right to...
I'm like an onion. It makes you cry and it stinks a little.
We'll get right to today's Daily Pulse. Let me first thank our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Mass and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, Ray Booten is your man. Find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. 2 new listings outside the city. He's got a 6-unit in Somerville. That's an investment property. Then he's got some land in, I'm going to forget what town it is. Oh, it's in Danvers. So he's got some land available as well, 1.5 acres. So get to realestaterayBooten.com's website. Thanks as well to our friends at WellPoint, the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. Thanks, WellPoint. Thanks, Ray. Got us some other sponsors. We'll thank them in a while. You know the dealio here. But we start today's show.
Quick question.
Sure.
What town was that 1.5 acres in?
I think Danvers.
So they're going to put a low-income housing project there, right? Isn't that the state plan?
Danvers. It's part of the Danvers Forward.
Maybe
Where's the train stop going to be?
Yeah. You could probably put like 1,000 people in there, right? Isn't that the goal?
I guess so. So you guys want to start with the week in review and then get to our the little gift for Ahan?
Sure, yeah. Let's see the week in review.
All right. So week in review. Were you upset or were you guys pleased by the Lowell City Council shooting down Lowell forward and taking us to Lowell backward?
So it was interesting, right? So when it first came up, I'm like, oh, this must be like I kind of just thought it was like a rubber stamp thing. Like you just got to come up with, like, you know how they make these plans? Nobody ever follows them. It's like the master plans or whatever. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's true. You get the community together, you do a listening session, and then you put it on the shelf so it gathers dust.
Yeah, they always put a year on it, like master plan 2035, 2050. It should just say master plan until the next council election.
Right, exactly. You know, and so
because that's about how long it lasts.
So I just figured it would get rubber stamped, and then I was reading. What's that kid's name? Was it Oates or something?
Ryan Oates, yep.
And he's pretty good. I like reading him. You know, I like reading both sides of things. And then, of course,
he was devastated by that vote.
Well, then I started reading the thing, right? And I read like who was on that plan, like who made the plan and everything. And thank God they voted that thing down, because they would have set precedent for like this whole thing where they want to have what do you call it? Multifamily homes everywhere. It's just a bad idea. And to me, it's like, you hear this thing where, well, we have to, Lowell's a city. It's got to act like a city. It's not a town. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you need to have nice neighborhoods that are single family, so people can, like, you move to Lowell, you start in a, like a neighborhood full of multifamily homes or rent, whatever.
You start in an overcrowded neighborhood.
Then you try to, like, go, like,
you need a neighborhood that they can go to in Lowell, so they don't go to Chelmsford, Westford, Tewksbury, and Andover, right?
Well, when I did Public Matters years ago, right? Somebody was in there, I forget who it was, but they were explaining the difference between Lowell and Lawrence, right? One of the differences, a lot of them, but one of them was that Lawrence geographically is a lot smaller than Lowell, and they were basically saying that it's like downtown, Lower Highlands, and the acre would be like Lawrence, and then the difference is that where we have these neighborhoods, they've got like Andover, North Andover, whatever, and so because we have these neighborhoods, they're the ones that supply all the kind of like the good stuff to the city, right? Not the good stuff, but like provide the leadership and the money. And like all I'm thinking is like if you start decimating those neighborhoods with, they'd probably want to put a tower in the middle of Centerville or something for like, 100.
Oh, fill the res in.
There's
and just do a giant housing.
So I was talking to Corey about that yesterday, right? And he was telling me
with Corey Belanger or Corey Robinson.
Corey Robinson.
You have
he was
to clarify.
He was saying how like, under this plan, something like that could have been like there probably would have been like way more units, and these plans can be, even though it's not like an official act or change, it can be used as like in a lawsuit. It can be used as like the city voted this. Like they can be used against you, right? And so the fact that it got voted down, I was kind of happy about it. It was an interesting mix of councilors, but if I was a neighborhood rep, I'd vote that sucker down too. We don't need more, in my opinion, we don't need more housing. We just need less people.
Tom?
Well, it's the illusion of caring, right, Teddy? You know, you put that feeler out there. I don't know.
Oh,
maybe,
the illusion of caring.
maybe I would have.
Ooh,
Maybe I would have.
We may steal that term for a future podcast.
Feel free.
The illusion of caring.
Yeah, which is very important in politics.
We're helping. We care about people in poverty, so we're going to help them.
Yes.
At the same time that we invite more people from poverty in to compete for the already limited resources.
We should start a committee.
That's the illusion.
The IOC.
Yeah.
We can tour the world.
Yeah.
Listen, the illusion of caring is a global thing. Right?
It sure is.
we could apply this to almost anything, but yeah, I'm fine with them voting it down actually, because I just, you know, I feel like
Where do you live?
I live in Pelham,
Oh, you're in Pelham.
but I
Okay.
used to live in Lowell.
All right.
Yeah, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Acre.
You grew up in the yeah, that's right. Remember the horror stories from Hayes?
He George Jeffersoned his way out of here.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but anyway, I don't necessarily think. I know that the city, it should be a city and, you know, private partnership to kind of cure these ills a little bit, but I don't think it's fully their responsibility either. Like, we're always asking the city for, you know, probably more than they can do.
We're asking government
Well,
for more. Everybody now, you went from the the country
the
that's
city,
founded on personal responsibility and take care of yourself and help your neighbors and whatever. But now it's like government's. You got a problem? Oh well, let's write an ordinance for that.
I'm just really.
Let's write a state legislation on it. Oh, let's get federal legislation, and then let's get a presidential executive order, and you solve all the problems. It's like at some point.
Yeah,
you got to realize government can't fix all your problems.
Well, and you look at in 1969, they passed the 40B thing, right? And that was basically
it's that old 40B.
Yeah,
no kidding.
And that whole thing is basically, I mean, who's it good for? Really, it's good for developers, and that's about it. But the state, like, basically, you're usurping a town's ability to regulate itself. It's a little un-American, you know. And a lot of these rules that they're talking about now, like bypassing zoning, doing this, like there's been a lot of, when you look at the zoning boards and the, whatever, like this, they make exceptions. There are multifamily units where it's appropriate. Like, it's not like there's been no development in Lowell. I just think
there's a ton of it. There's so many new, look around Lowell. They're all in the same neighborhoods for the most part.
Oh, no.
There's a ton of new housing that's been put out there. I'm kind of with you on this, Batch. We got to stop inviting people in until we can figure out what we're already doing. Why would you make the problem worse?
And where does it end? Like, all right, if you build all the housing that you needed for everybody right now, what's going to happen? More people come. It doesn't end. So just stop.
Plus, government involvement is what drove up all these prices anyway, right? If I was renting a property and you give me someone with Section 8 who I know I'm getting a check from the government, assuming that person's a good, responsible tenant.
It inflates the rent.
I want that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's almost like if you guaranteed, like if say you were a college and all of a sudden you guaranteed all these loans.
Same thing.
The price, do you think the price is going to stay the same? Oh, wait, that actually happened.
Yeah, they got same thing with government, right? You drove up the price of college to a ridiculous level, which is insane, which I think we'll see that just fall apart.
If you want to make housing affordable, get rid of all the subsidies. And the rate would crash. And change the rules on.
We'd have a few more homeless people, unfortunately, because we've created people in these environments that can't fend for themselves. They don't have the life skills, the job skills, or the education to
bet a lot of
fend for themselves.
But right now, they're disincentivized to do so. I mean, we've created if you're right on the edge, why the hell would you go out and get a job when it's going to not benefit you economically? Like this is like set up to make people compliant.
Well, this is the globalist agenda, right?
Yeah.
The 15-minute cities don't go anywhere, rely on the government to shut up and vote for us.
The worst thing you can do to people of any economic class is take away their ability to, or their motivation to move out.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's what I think we've done. I think that's the big mistake. I think the intention of like the war on poverty was good.
We're trending in that direction.
The failure of Marxism.
Yeah.
It sounds great. We all share. It's a communal. But if there's no motivation to better your lot in life, then why should you better yourself if you're only going to have the same end result as your neighbor.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of the chosen oligarchs.
Leaving out the trial data, which we all share. We all shared nothing.
I mean,
That's how the story always ends.
I mean, and you know, like, and it's just there's just too much. The subsidies really just drive up the price. If you got rid of it all, I think you find that people. The other thing you get rid of too is like the ability for people to squat and not pay rent for a couple of years and go through the courts. Like you really like you don't pay your rent, you got to give them like I don't know, 3 months and you're out, whatever. Like this whole thing where it takes years to get people out when they're not paying their rent. What the fuck? Like, how do you? It's not paying your rent.
How do you not go into the house and just drag the person out?
Yeah, it's
and,
kind of.
and how is it illegal for you to do so?
In the old days,
You know, like this is my house. Just because I went to Aruba for the week doesn't mean you get to move in and stay there.
try doing that to the rancher in Wyoming or Idaho.
Oh, yeah, good luck with that.
And how will that?
Florida.
You're not going to squat in that person's house. The other big news locally, it's election season, right? We got 2 new candidates jumping in, well-known candidates. 𝐏𝐲 𝐏𝐿𝐥𝐲 running at large for Lowell School Committee. So that we now have 4 people in that race. Connie Martin, the incumbent, 𝐏𝐲, Danielle McFadden, and Bob Hoey. And everyone's still waiting on word from Jackie Doherty, which if she is going to run for re-election, that triggers a preliminary on September 9th. She's gone silent on me again.
Yeah.
She had told me after the budget season, I want to get through the budget season. So I texted her the other day and I jokingly said, hey, now that the Karen Reed verdict is in, what's the Jackie Doherty verdict?
The Wi-Fi spotty at the beach.
And when my phone doesn't vibrate, I know it's her.
Yeah.
So
that would be an interesting one with the whole domicile thing.
Yeah. But 𝐏𝐲
Domicile gate part 2.
𝐏𝐲 in the race. That makes for an interesting
Oh, she'll do well, I think.
school committee, right? She almost became a state rep.
Yeah.
So she's got a base of support. Now she's going to go out on campaign citywide. Connie Martin's been there forever. She's, known to have a loyal base and whatnot. Everyone kind of looks at Danielle and says, well, she's going to do well. And then Bob Hoey, I got a number of people tell me, you don't know how much support Hoey has out there. He could surprise. So
Wait, so there's 4 or 5 right now?
that's 4 right now. And if Jackie Doherty seeks re-election, now you get 5 in a preliminary to eliminate 1.
So she doesn't run. It really comes down to 𝐏𝐲 versus Ho. Zoe.
No, because you're only going to elect 2. So
Oh, it's not 3. That's
It's only
right.
2.
Oh, that's right.
Connie Martin, Danielle McFadden,
wow.
𝐏𝐲 𝐏𝐿𝐥𝐲, and Bob Hoey. So 2. I to me, Hoey's the long shot. I don't think he's gotten over, his
He hasn't gotten out of the rock in the hard place.
glory. Yeah, I think not enough time has gone by to forget the rock in the hard place. But I've had other people who know the city tell me, no, don't discount him. So
Well,
I won't. But
He'll have the pro-Palestine votes.
does he have a pin for Palestine?
He probably
Nobody
does.
bought me a pin for Palestine. I keep asking.
Someone check what Ilhan Omar has on her lawn sign.
Oh, I was trying to make some headway with that on what was it, Friday when we went out with the teachers?
Yeah.
That's always a good time.
You're trying to get a pin for Palestine?
Yeah, of course I
I've been trying
was.
nobody wants to be the one to give me the pin for Palestine.
I think they sold out.
Probably. Paulette, and then we find out Paulette Renault Karajanis, I apologize, is challenging the aforementioned Corey Robinson for District 2 in Centerville.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Remember the billboard in 2021? You
how
went
could you
down Bridge Street,
what, the
then you
Diggy
had
one
Bob
was-
Gignac on one side of the billboard and Corey Robinson with
dapper.
20 supporters in the other one. Paulette Karajanis was one of those supporters.
Oh yeah.
And now she's challenging him. Interestingly enough, while she supported him wholeheartedly in 2021, she did not in 2023. She didn't come out and support, Marty Hogan, but you could tell that there was a little bit of a divide, and there was rumors all through Corey Robinson's legal issues that Paulette was going to run. Everyone just kind of figured, all right, well, it's the middle of June. It's not going to happen. Sure enough, she went and pulled papers.
Well, I think it was so in the press release I saw that a lot of it had to do with think she was mentioning something about the nurses.
The
and
public health nurses, she was upset that they cut 2 of the 3 public health nurses. She talked about bridge traffic,
Yeah.
economic development in neighborhoods and stuff.
But you know what's interesting is I bet she would have been a big fan of that housing proposal.
So
I think it's that, and I thought it was interesting the timing.
So somebody in the know said to me that was the straw that broke. That's when
that's
she
what I
decided
figured.
I'm getting in. They shot this down. Corey Robinson, one of the 6 votes against it, and that they think that that's what
Yeah, so she's
finally made her decide. You know what? We need to get in.
so she's in favor of more bridge traffic.
No, they're not going to be allowed to have cars.
Oh, okay.
when they move
Well,
into
yeah.
Centerville. But
Let's let's populate Centerville. More people.
what was a rather boring race in 2020? It was interesting in 2021 until the preliminary when we saw how many votes Corey Robinson got, and then we're like, oh, poor 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 going to get slaughtered in the runoff. 2023, Marty Hogan was just not gonna. I don't even think Corey Robinson campaigned, to be honest with you, right? But now you're going to see activity
How close-
in that neighborhood, and I think it's going to be an interesting race.
How close is 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 though?
Not even close. It was like 800 to 200 votes. It was a complete slaughter.
So I honestly,
And Bob 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲's a good candidate.
yeah, I think it'll end kind of similarly.
You think it won't even be close?
I think Paulette has a strong local group of supporters, but I think Corey's got a larger base.
I'd say that Corey is minus 176 votes.
So
that's the spread.
You think Corey Robinson waltzes to victory there?
We could have a voting line, Teddy.
I think he wins, but I think it's a little bit closer than.
How many people voted? Was it more than
I think
500?
they got close to 1,000 in 2021. They maybe 600 in 2023.
Oh wow.
I'll have to go back. I'll have to go back and check the numbers, but I think it was close to 1,000 in Centerville in 2021.
He's pretty active. I think he's going to hold on pretty easily. I probably agree with you, Batch.
Yeah, I think he's got a good pulse on what the neighborhood, how they feel about things.
Well,
So-
we shall watch it.
The school
all
committee though,
unfold.
that
We'll do
one
the
now is
handicapper
like
show.
Yeah.
the school committee. That's pretty interesting.
That's a juicy one.
Plus, I got to set up another camera angle if I'm going to have a debate with all 4 of them.
Yeah.
So, but hey, Inside Lowell, follow it this summer because we're going to be on top of all this. And if any new candidates emerge, Emil Kaufman, who ran against Danny Rourke in District 1 back in 2023, well, he tried to, but he couldn't get his 150 signatures certified, has pulled papers to run at large, I'm told. So he would be the 5th candidate if this time he can get his signatures in.
I'm trying blanking on. Did we have him?
Father Time, remember he kind of went into the election office and
yeah.
they said, "What's your name?" And he said, "I'm Father Time."
Yeah.
And I had the greatest headline, and I didn't put it out there. Rourke in race against Father Time. But anyway, hey, one more quick thing. The Inside Lowell online pop-up store is now open. See these polo shirts? They'll probably look better on anyone who purchased them than they will on me. But the polo shirts, the hoodies, the t-shirts, long and short sleeve that you see me wear from time to time, and some of our Inside Lowell insiders wear, they're now available for you to purchase as well. Go to our Facebook page. You can see the link directly there. I'm going to put it on Inside Lowell this morning as well, but you can purchase your Inside Lowell swag as well. So that's something new out there for our audience. Let me quickly thank our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten. You can find him online at realestaterayBooten.com. He's the one to call if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property. Thanks as well to WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that goes the extra mile. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on since 1982 to insure its most valuable assets. And by the Massachusetts Pirates, they're bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Songa Center. They're back home tomorrow night, riding a 3-game winning streak. They'll look to make it 4 in a row at home against the Tulsa Oilers. You want tickets to the game? Shoot me an email, teddypanos@insidelowell.com, and we'll get you on out there to that game or any future game. back with Batch, back with Han, continuing the reduced power hour, as we're calling them. Continuing our week in review. I wanted to hit on the political assassinations that happened last Saturday. Was it Saturday or Friday? Saturday.
Good choice of words.
In Minnesota. I didn't get to talk too much about it this week, but it was interesting to me in the immediate aftermath because it was 2 Democratic lawmakers shot. You saw the Democrats come out, right?
Oh,
Blaming
yeah.
Trump and fascist presidents because it happened on the day that they, the No Kings.
Hang on, are you telling me he's not a Republican Trump lover?
And then all of a sudden, you stop all the local, right down from our state reps to our congresswomen and our senators. They all stopped talking once they realized,
they got the group email.
this is an extremist lefty.
Yeah,
This is a guy that Tim Walz and somebody else appointed.
Wait, I read he was a conservative.
Yeah, you read he was a conservative, right? Walking around in a car with No Kings signage, shooting the person who was the deciding vote in the Minnesota state legislature, the only Democrat to break ranks, kicking illegals off Medicaid
I did read that.
in Minnesota.
that was the day before, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit before
right
that,
before
and
that?
there was a kind of a, now in retrospect, it was a horrible press conference where the woman was, you could see her, she was emotional, she was shaking
torn,
up, she was crying, talking about how hard of a vote it was, but it had to get done, or else we wouldn't have a budget. But I'm willing to bet she'd gotten a ton of death threats, as had the other guy.
Yeah.
And suddenly you stopped hearing about this guy. Why do we not know any more about this guy than we knew last Sunday or Monday?
See the shooter from the roof.
Right?
That's true.
We've heard nothing.
Yeah, what happened? It's
Cricket City.
almost a year to the point where
along with the guy who had his militia over in Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Cricket City is on.
Why do we know nothing about these people? Lee Harvey Oswald, you knew everything, or supposedly everything, right away. John Hinckley Jr., right? Muhammad Ali Aja, who shot the Pope. You knew all this stuff, right?
I can't believe you remember that one.
I came home from school and saw it unfolding on my TV.
That was before they had the Pope Mobile, right?
They created the Pope Mobile because of that, the bulletproof glass.
Right,
but why do we hear nothing about these people when it turns out that they're lefty assassins?
Are you suggesting that the media is biased?
I will say,
In the pocket?
I mean, they're right in saying that, the ratched up political rhetoric is causing this, but I don't think they understand. Like, are right-wingers running around and shooting people nowadays? Who shot Steve Scalise and the other congressional members during that softball game a decade ago? Who's going around and doing all this stuff?
I was surprised just in general so it's pretty rare that used to be rarer that you had political assassinations in the U.S. I mean, it's getting a little more frequent when you look at I was looking at the total number of whether it was state reps, local officials, whatever. It doesn't happen that often, and kind of wasn't really.
But it's starting to now, right?
But it wasn't that big of a deal. Meaning the coverage didn't really equate the severity, I thought.
The coverage of it went literally a woman who took by the way, a former House Speaker in Minnesota, who was the minority leader now. She took a controversial vote and got killed just days later, assassinated in her home.
It's kind of like
that should be that should be a warning sign, by the way, or maybe that was the intent, right? To the Massachusetts legislators who might vote against certain things. Maybe that's the warning sign. Because it's not a big jump from shooting a healthcare CEO in the middle of the street to shooting somebody who doesn't toe the globalist line in the State House.
It's been years now that we've seen this messaging, right? Which is you have to fight evil, right? And essentially you've painted the right side of the aisle as evildoers, and the left side of the aisle is like freedom fighters, which isn't true at all.
They're resisting.
Resisting evil.
The resistance.
So
unless they type
No Kings.
So sick people on one end of the spectrum, on one far end of the spectrum, I should say, they seem to now, this time of we've slowly normalized violence against other people.
They cheered Luigi, or whatever his name was, Mario, Luigi, I forget which which Mario Brothers character he was, but the one who went and shot the healthcare exec in cold blood. He was cheered to the point where Senator Elizabeth Warren said, this is what happens when you deny health. I mean, they were justifying an assassination on the sidewalk.
Kids in school thought it was okay. So I talked to a lot of different students. They were like, well, and they had talked to their teachers as well, which scared me a little bit. And they're like,
we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in your building.
but just the feedback I got, which was, they thought it was perfectly fine because that guy was doing bad and awful things. Yeah, maybe he was. You know what I mean? Maybe some of the policies he passed were horrific. Right?
He made business decisions. He made a business decision, which affected
people's
awful. Lives negatively.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you don't blow the guy away.
I thought because of Obamacare we were going to fix all these problems, not make them worse. But I digress.
Obamacare just made things worse. That just passed you and I a bigger bill. That's it. Middle class got smushed.
You kill the CEO. That whatever he's doing is still going to happen.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter.
More people getting approved for medicines or treatments.
The next CEO will have better security.
I do. It does seem like the left protests way more than the right.
That's all they have.
Well, they have. I mean, there's more.
Now they're waving the Iranian flags around. They've put down the Palestinian and Mexican flags.
Who's waving?
And now they're out there waving the Iranian flag around. The lefties.
That's insane.
Yeah, look at your street protests now.
Yeah.
In L.A. and whatever.
By the way, have you seen the stats, right? So, like, I keep hearing 80% of Iranians are against the current Iranian regime. If those numbers are true, and I think that...
I don't think they're true.
I don't know if it's 80%. That seems high.
I can't imagine, but...
Well, if it was 80%, it's going to be... I mean, my issue with this whole thing is that it's going to consolidate that population. I think it's a bad... I think it's not going to help. I think it's going to...
I think Israel, and if the U.S. were to jump in, they're going to damage the Iranian regime just hard enough to allow the people, that other side of Iran who doesn't agree with them, to jump in and take their country back.
They were trying a few years ago. What they call it, the Green Revolution.
Yeah, Obama had this chance. They were like actively asking for support,
and he pulled the rug out.
And he said no. Yeah,
and then gave him money for nuclear weapons.
Yeah, he did the opposite.
Wait, are you saying this will
pallets of cash for the regime?
This will keep the current regime in place, or are you saying it'll help topple?
No, it'll help topple it, but allow the Iranian people who are opposed to the regime them do the actual job.
It's too bad we screwed that
which I think is a good plan.
But interesting, his thought is it has a boomerang effect in that it unites them.
I don't think
galvanizes them.
I don't think so.
How many Muslims how many hardline Muslims versus Christians are in Iran now, as opposed to 30, 40 years ago?
But how many of those folks have been living under that thumb and forced to play that game, and maybe they just completely despise being forced to do that?
Instead of bombs, we should be dropping
leaflets,
iPhones, and pictures of women without their hijab on, or whatever it is. No, I mean, I think most of the population over there, from what I've heard, it's not as they're not as extreme. I mean, they have to follow the rules, but I think this is just gonna piss them off. I don't know. This one I think is a little bit of an overreach.
I don't think so. I think the people are more opposed to their own government. There's a lot of people there who despise that regime.
What about Kelsey saying there was no
nuclear weapons there?
Yeah, I mean, and then have you heard this before?
Yes, exactly. So I'm a little suspicious.
Yeah, this one I can't get behind this one.
I agree with both of you guys on this one.
I'm not sure I want the U.S. getting involved any further than they are now, and I hope that President Trump is just
I agree.
kind of bellowing to see if he can get a deal in a couple of weeks, as opposed to actually committing the United States to this. Because I've heard about the weapons of mass destruction before.
Yeah.
I don't want to fall for it again.
I mean, if I was the U.S., I would love to see you topple the regime, or let it happen. Hopefully, let it happen organically, and then, you fully back if a non extreme government comes into power. That's where you put your eggs. I'd much rather deal with a secular Iranian than Saudi Arabia.
We suck at regime change. We
leave it alone.
Make it worse. Let the people do the regime change.
This is how it started in the first place.
Support them, give them internet, have Elon send his Starlink, and let them,
We already did that.
Let them keep communicating so that they don't get cut off.
Send them Baywatch.
Don't do anything above that, because we always butcher regime change, right on down to Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
paving the way for the Shah to exit and thereby leading to what we're now fighting. All right, I want to move along because Bach has to go. We got some quick feedback from our audience, somewhat related to our discussions. Bernie Aguilar says, I wish I were a resident of Lowell so I could vote for him. Sean is a great guy. Sean being Sean McDonough, not the Red Sox play-by-play maker, and not John McDonough, but Sean McDonough. He's challenging Wayne Jeunesse in District 4.
I'm going to listen to that. I haven't heard that one yet.
He did his podcast this week. Michael Porters, Skanska should pay for this disaster for not properly doing the testing of the borehole at all, which should have been done early on. No excuses whatsoever. The taxpayer should not have to pay for their careless and reckless mistake.
Well, is that from the future about the Rook Bridge?
Nope. The jokes wrote themselves this week when we revealed that the Skanska or somebody was coming out to do borings in the soil in the river and the surrounding land, and Guillermo Pena said hopefully they do more than one. But Tuesday is the night you will get your high school overrun number.
Oh,
they muzzled everybody at the school building committee meeting on June 9th when we thought we were getting it, or June, no, it was whatever that date was last week. And now it's going to be revealed in front of the full city council.
What's the
I had
range?
said 30, maybe more. I was told you're way off. I'm hearing rumblings of 40.
Oh, I think it's going to go higher than
You say higher than 40? I'm not going to doubt you. I'm hearing rumblings of 40.
I was thinking 60.
Okay.
Can I just bet over 40?
Yeah, over 40.
What would be more shocking at this point if it was, 40, 48, or if it would be 60? What would you find more shocking? Because we're all numb now. I think by this point we're numb to the fact that because that number 30 has been floating out there long enough.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to see what the final tab is, because we all said you're shooting this number way low. Well, I can't remember. Maybe you remember the actual estimates at the beginning when they first.
It was somewhere in the 380 somewhere.
No, they pared it down to 354, but everyone was like, no way it can be done for less than 450 or 500, whatever the number was.
Yeah, Marty Laurie was throwing 400 around, and now we're at 381 now. So 30 million more is 411.
Yeah.
How much higher do we go?
So I wouldn't be shocked at all if we hit 450.
Well, I wouldn't.
I mean, you're going into the oldest building now, right? That's the next phase.
So I bet maybe what happens is the number stays around 40, but there's a list of all the things they cut. Just like
we call that value engineering.
Yeah, value engineering.
It's not cutting, programming,
cutting.
Or amenities. It's value engineering.
So just like in the 1980 building.
No Jumbotron.
The 1980 building was supposed to have air conditioning. They ran out of money. What'd they do?
No air conditioning.
I've been saying since the beginning, the AC, there's no way that whole building gets AC.
Yeah.
How is the new building, by the way?
So
have you taught in it?
I have.
Is it this 28th century facility that's going to lead education into the future?
Here's my answer. When the old building is done, the yellow brick building that has windows, I want to be in that building.
But
really?
No windows?
Why?
Yes.
Instead of the new building?
The new building has like a 6 or 8 inch square window that opens. That's it. So if the AC breaks, you're going to have real issues over there.
What is it, a prison?
Well, that's why we're going to get a facilities department to make sure.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, hey.
That it doesn't break. How many pins for Palestine do they have to sell to?
I don't know.
For air conditioning?
to make sure that we can cover this cost overrun, whatever the final number comes in.
Maybe you know the answer to this. I was told a long time ago that the piping underneath the basement that connects like the school to outside infrastructure, I heard that was all rotted out and that was never part of any plans. And
Jesus.
one of the reasons you had flooding difficulties.
Is that part of the foundational issue that we?
So I'm curious because I haven't heard anything about that. So could that be when they start tearing up that floor? Now they look at this rotted out piping. Are they going to have to fix that too?
I think the water department's looking to sub that out.
Let me start digging on that. All right,
so to speak.
Tuesday night, and we'll be talking about this. Next week.
If it's under 60, there's going to be a lot of what would you call it? Value engineering.
Value engineering.
Yeah.
So you say how much more? 50?
I'm just betting over 40.
Over 40, yeah.
60.
You're saying 60. All right. We'll
Do I
find
have-
out
do I have to-
Tuesday.
if I have to pick an exact number, I'll change it, but we'll just say over 40.
All right. We want to wrap up with a little gift that was left for Hannah, a teacher
yeah.
at Lowell High School. You went into your desk on, was it the last day of school? And
Yeah, I found this book on my desk.
oh, that looks like a cool children's book. Not my idea. That's I can't on camera. I can't read the writing underneath. I see the not my idea. What is the writing underneath it say?
It says a book about whiteness.
A book about whiteness.
Oh boy.
Is that about laundry? Like how do you get your whites white and
bleach,
your colors
using bleach properly?
brighter?
No, sadly no.
No, a book about whiteness.
A book about whiteness. So I didn't know who left this at first, and I had to send you guys a couple pics and look at this.
You sure that wasn't a leftover from the Joel Boyd training?
Yeah. It could very
DEI
well.
training?
Listen, I'm sure that if we did a little digging, we could find plenty of books. That
Was it wrapped in a tight shirt
With a hoodie.
or a wrestling singlet?
I should have gotten.
It had a beautiful
I
scarf.
should have gotten short sleeve hoodie that are real tight, only sold in small.
Boyd in the back.
So anyway, to make a long story short, it's a book about how terrible white people are and how we need to do everything to help.
It's a
everybody
kid's
else.
book, right? It's
a children's book, absolutely. It's like for you to train your young child to hate him or herself,
first to hate
or they self.
hate their parents and their grandparents, and then to hate themselves ultimately.
Yeah.
So they become little foot soldiers who go out and like shoot people for voting the wrong way, right?
Written by a white woman, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a wicked white woman.
An awful white woman.
Yes,
that.
very awful.
Affluent, white, ultra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
What was that acronym? I forgot.
Affluent, white, female, ultra liberal.
yeah.
Awful.
So for years, Han's been talking about like this stuff, and I always thought, how bad could it really be, And so I read the book, and I'm like, holy shit. Like now I know what you were talking about because whatever. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about the past or whatever, and taking a look at like how you're perceived in the world versus. I mean, all that's fine. Like a good conversation, definitely worth having. But this shit is nuts.
Let's give our audience a little example of a page from the book. Racism is a white person's problem, and we are all caught up in it. And you got the people saying, I can't watch the news. That police officer was just doing his job. But racism is a white person's problem. Are white people the only racists on the planet? Or is there not racism around the world?
Well, that's the insane new critical race theory idea, is that if you're a person of color, you can't actually be racist, which is absolute trash.
The white devil line, which I used to use to piss somebody off who was running for office in Lowell. But you're telling white people they are evil.
Right.
It's your racism is you.
I'm not even white. I'm pink.
These books in critical race theory is actually evil because, like, if you take it to a school context, you're teaching kids. Let's take the white population. You're evil. You have done evil upon other people, and there's almost nothing you can do to take that back. And you're responsible. And that's what this book is, right? Take responsibility for all your evil.
And
it's
unless
like,
your
whoa.
parents, your parents don't want to talk. Like your parents have no idea. Your parents don't care.
And then the other messaging is on the other side. If you're a person of color, the system is stacked against you. You're dealing with these evil white people who are in charge of you.
And you'll never overcome unless one of these affluent white people helps you out.
There's no place for you to go because the white people will just kick you down and kick your chair out from under you. And it's like, this is some of the worst messaging a school could possibly give a child. Whether either way, right? It's
What's
insane.
the author's name? Abigail Higginbottom or something like that?
Anastasia Higginbotham.
I think somewhere in my kids' book collection there's a book by her, and it might be the one about Hillary Clinton.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now I got to go back and look at it.
Always delete your emails.
That was the last. Delete this book after reading it. But there's one page from the book. But let's find another one here. The whiteness contract. It's a contract binding you to whiteness, and you get stolen land. Oh, here we go. Stolen land, stolen riches, and special favors. Plus, whiteness gets to mess endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, and all fellow humans of color for the purpose of profit. Sign your soul away below.
Isn't it painful to read this? Is brutal.
Wait,
This is what they want kids to read, right?
I didn't realize this is why I work for nonprofit. I didn't realize I was messing with people.
You know what? Yeah, when we see
them-
college kids today that are completely misguided and out of their minds, trying to destroy themselves and destroy the United States, but you kind of like read this stuff and you're like, they've been brought up on this. They've just
so
been
divisive.
brainwashed.
And it may not have been in a book.
Well,
They used to keep it much more subtle in academia.
Yeah.
The brainwashing of kids. It started with brainwashing of college students, and then they had to start reaching lower.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, some of them got to college and got away from it.
Yeah.
But you know, this is what leads to Pins for Palestine. This is what leads to the science fair that Lowell High held. Did you go to the science fair?
Lowell High? I don't think I did.
So
Can't remember.
I looked at some great pictures, some great projects and whatnot, but there was a common theme among all the topics. They were all leftist topics.
Yeah.
Climate change, indigenous people.
Didn't have it on carbon capture?
Palestine, racism, whatever. Yeah, there was not one kid, 3,000 plus kids in Lowell High. Not one had an independent thought to kind of research carbon capture or I don't know what happens to a fetus during an abortion or whatnot. Not to dig up that, but when you've got a 3,000 person student body and they're all rowing in the same direction, that tells me that there's some brainwashing and leadership going on there. Where's the diversity of thought? I thought we liked diversity.
So they have one on how fentanyl works? Or like how to kind of
nobody researched the evils of Marxism. Nobody researched the history between post World War II West Germany and East Germany, West Berlin, East Berlin. Nobody researched any of this stuff.
How to cut a kilo?
Not one kid was, because I know in 2016 there were kids at Lowell High who were afraid to speak out, that they were happy about how that election turned out. I know kids in 2024 who were like, oh yeah, they're all crying. I'm afraid to say something because so I know these kids exist, but this book and this ideology being taught is what teaches them, don't speak up.
Well, I know one kid, a brave little guy from Tingsboro, Mass. They were having it was like a wax museum. The theme was like a wax museum, and he was supposed to pick somebody from history to like dress up as and do a presentation on it. And this guy, one of my friend's kids, did it on Trump, and he got the suit, the tie, did the whole thing, and he did a really good job.
The power blue suit and the red tie.
Yeah, and he did a really good job, and he got so much shit for it on the bus, in the at the presentation, and he powered through, but he was kind of like,
good for him.
He's like, this is our president.
I need to talk to this kid.
Yeah, he's a great kid, but it was, he's like, I don't know, he's like 8 or 10, but he got all this shit for it. And I felt bad, I mean.
And by the way, it's okay to not like Donald Trump or to like left ideologies and whatnot. It's okay, but when you're teaching people that they're evil just because of the color of their skin, that is racism.
Oh, it is.
That is 100% racism.
Yeah.
And it's and it doesn't matter who it's against. But this is why I celebrated the death of the DEI movement.
Well, now I get
of stuff like this.
Well, now I get what you're talking about. I think when people see anti-DEI or whatever, it's not about inclusion. It's not about giving people kind of making things a little more equitable. It's this shit people don't like.
Well, the CRT thing too, they make that argument we have to face up to our country's history. It's we can be aware of our country's history.
Not when you're 8.
And understand not to have slavery again, obviously, right? But we don't need to drown. We don't need to waterboard people into you're a horrible human being because some people that shared your color 160 years ago owned slaves.
And this is too young.
If you want to fight slavery today, there are places you can go throughout the world and fight it.
Statistically, there's more slavery today.
It's not in Lowell, Massachusetts, and in Lowell High School. Go around the world. Go to Africa. Go to Asia. There is slavery going on around the world right now. And by the way, that's where you'll also find out that the supposed king in the United States is actually kind of benevolent compared to the real kings in other parts of the world where you take to the streets and you're dead.
Yeah. I should add that this is not like a Lowell High book.
No,
right?
this was
a staff member, his daughter got this for her birthday, and he was like, "There's no chance I'm allowing my daughter to have this book."
But there was a similar book for adults that was being used as an instruction at some kind of a principal's workshop in the Lowell Public Schools. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
Well-known author, and I remember interviewing Joel Boyd about it, and he was, trying to kind of downplay it. And I'm like, you can't, you can't, feed into this. This is not good. And I was the bad guy because it was 2021 and 2020 back then. But I do wonder how the former Lowell school superintendent feels about all the Palestinian flags being waved
Can't
around.
feel good about it.
I mean, because remember, we lost our minds over what Robert Oey said.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But, now here we are.
Now we would have been cheered.
4 years later, cheering, waving Palestinian flags around and, supporting from the river to the sea.
Ugh.
I don't know.
So when Han was talking about this, I'm like, I didn't think this was real. So I looked it up, and it was real. And then there's a whole collection of books that are.
You ordered the book from Amazon because you wanted your own.
Yeah, I wanted to see if it was real. Han got rid of the other one, so I'm like, we got to get this thing. And
you ordered a bunch of other books too, right?
well,
not?
I thought it'd be fun if we looked at some other titles.
Okay.
And there's, I think it's 4 or 5 altogether.
Do away with a whiteness contract. By the way, that is an actual page from the book.
By the way, the other interesting thing is that all the pictures of like the neighborhoods that don't accept you, they all have American flags and Christian symbols in them. It's crazy.
Yeah, the
it's
American
crazy.
flag and a Christian symbol is bad.
So this is what I want you guys to do here is like, tell me if you think this is real.
Wait, that's the same author.
Yeah.
Anastasia Higginbotham.
Yeah.
Tell me about Sex Grandpa.
Grandma.
Oh, Grandma. Oh.
Yes. So this is.
Is this for kids who are being raised by their grandparents and don't have a mom and dad in the house?
Yes.
So grandma needs to tell them. Okay, I was reading it quickly and I was reading Grandpa, so I'm like, oh, this is not.
This is the book that's supposed to let kids know about sex and how sex was when they were younger, and talk about some of the changes of today.
Can you imagine if grandma's actually knowledgeable about sex today as opposed to 70, 80 years ago?
Well, there's some grandmothers that are like in their late 30s, so you never know. I mean,
you're not wrong. So all right, tell me about Sex Grandma. Is this a real book, Batch?
this one is real.
It is a real book.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what else is out there. 100%. This one is 100%. So my president is
yes. Now this one is
politics for kids. Look at the little scales of justice.
how to
On the
address
bottom right.
how to address the feeling. I think it was like how to address the feelings of anxiety the children have right now, or something like that.
Maybe if mom and dad stopped being such lunatics, the kids wouldn't be as anxious and might just go outside and play.
Yeah. So what do you think? Real, or did I make that one up?
I 100% real.
I'll vote for real too. We should have been selling these last Saturday.
Yep, that's
Should have a book
100%.
stand.
So the way Batch did it is you found 3 real titles, and then you had AI create a 4th.
Yeah, I wanted to see what would happen if I did a prompt. And I'll tell you what the prompt was after.
So, all right, so let's take away fascist president and let's do consent for kids, boundaries, respect, and being in charge of you. By the way, my wife has these discussions with my kids, so I'm going to guess this is a real book.
Han?
Real.
This one is real.
You say real?
It's about diddling and how to prevent it.
Sadly, it's an important book.
Yeah.
There's one that I would buy for my kids. Rachel Bryan.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll do away with that book and our last one. Oops, it would help if I popped it up, huh? Ching's Chips.
So this one's about sharing. And
A book about sharing.
So
that's 100% real.
It's a book about a heavier kid named Ching and another kid named Bobby. Bobby is mean to Ching, but then Bobby forgets his chips at home, and they share chips and become friends.
100% real. This is the ultimate snowflake story. Share your chips.
Yeah.
Uh,
A little hidden Marxism in there.
They'd probably be veggie chips.
Share all your resources.
Right, 100% real on that.
Well, that's AI.
That's AI?
Yeah. So the prompt was children's book cover with chips and sharing, and that's what they came up with.
AI came up with?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
So the AI is a big fan of alliteration, right? The ching and the chip?
Yeah, I'm like, I've never heard of a kid's name Ching, but like, I'm like, all right.
Charlie's Chips was apparently too white.
I don't know. I don't know how they came up with the word, but now this is completely
I don't know
AI.
anybody named Ching.
In the description, I just made up the description, but I could actually probably write that. That'd be pretty easy to
So
write.
this was the fake one?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have bet. Tell me about Sex Grandma was fake, and that you just put the author from
Yeah,
Not My
no.
Idea on
No,
it.
they're all real except for the one about sharing.
Yeah, because what you'd want to do is you would want to take away all of Bobby's. Who was the bully in that story, by the way?
The Bobby was the bully.
Yeah, take away Bobby's chips and give them away.
Yeah, give half to
Because
Ching.
Bobby's already fat.
Yeah. So there's a lot of titles. Like if you type in woke children's books, it's hilarious what you come up with. It really is. And my thing is like you should be teaching. I did look up communist books, and there's not many of them, but
You found those in the UMass Lowell Library.
The red section.
there's a couple good ones on the other side though. There's one on capitalism that wasn't too bad.
Really?
Yeah.
They had actually a fair book about capitalism?
Yeah, but it was only like 2 pages. But it's just kind of.
They call it the white person's economic model.
But if you look up woke children's books, it's hilarious. And they should be teaching kids to like share and ignore differences and be nice to like the whatever kids like.
I'm watching my son on his basketball and baseball teams and at Friendship Park, and it's like he doesn't care. He's out there playing whatever. It's like there's no, that's what we should be teaching the kids.
Yeah. Kids get racist when they're older. They do. It's when they're little kids. Like keep them that way. If you keep them that way, then they'll grow up like I grew up in. Look at the way we grew up in Lowell. Like we grew up with everybody.
Maybe just let them live life, and eventually, don't take them to an all-white suburb.
I know. Well,
maybe we should be targeting the all-white suburbs as opposed to the diverse places like Lowell.
We had years ago. There was this group. They're still around. They're horrible people, but they did it. They're trying to get like preschool, universal preschool, so that the public schools can make more money. But they talk to principals about like what kindergarten teachers like. What's the number one thing, or the 2 most important things for kids to be able to learn when they enter school? And it was go to the bathroom on their own and share. That's it, right? And I think those like the sharing and being socially ready for school. Those are the things that are important. That's the stuff we should be teaching.
Amen.
Amen,
Batch. So we start with inspiration. Batch waking up to watch the sunrise on the summer solstice.
Yeah.
And we end with inspiration.
That was
So it's
Batch's
almost like-
hug. There you go.
It's like the Hondros hug, right? So
Teach your kids to share.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that was the fake book.
yeah, I know. That's what I'd write a book about.
Tell me about Sex Grandma. Oh God, I've never talked to my parents about sex, let alone my grandparents.
Yeah, right.
It's like, there should be like, Mom, who's that guy? Who's this guy? It could be about Mom's dating patterns. I don't know.
Oh, jeez. All right, Mike
Wait,
Bacigalupo.
whose feet are those? That'd be a good. Whose feet are those coming out of Mom's bed?
Mike Bacigalupo, Hans Stutz, 2/3 of the Power Hour, the reduced Power Hour. Thanks for helping us wrap up another week on the Daily Pulse.
All right.
Thank you. Enjoy the weekend, boys.
Enjoy your solstice.
You guys do so as well. And remember, if you want a Inside Lowell polo shirt, t-shirts, long or short sleeve, or a hoodie, get to our Facebook page. We've got the link right out there. We'll put it on InsideLowell.com as well before the next hour or so. And you too can become part of the Inside Lowell team. Be part of the in crowd. We'll be back next week, kicking off another week of the Daily Pulse. Till then, everybody enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on the other side.